Good morning internet and good morning biker fans. Good morning, well, welcome back to 36 Moto's motorcycle review channel. Because yesterday a friend of mine told me he was test riding the new Hayabusa 3. Now this friend of mine has actually got currently a Gen 2 2008 plate in black with a nice aquapovic can on it, and guess what? We went to ride them both, back to back. If you own a Hayabusa already, should you change and buy the new one? During this video I'm going to try and answer that question, A, to myself, I haven't got one, but I'm going to ride these two back to back and try and come to some sort of conclusion as to which one I would actually want to own and why I would want to own it. Ollie's already got one, obviously. He's got his bike, he's got the Gen 2, and he's going to think about whether he should trade it in and get the new one or not. Is it worth it? Some people have said no, some people have said, well, of course it is, we've got more technology. So we'll see if that technology matters. The bikes are so similar, it really is a nuances of difference. I'm hopefully in the next few minutes I can just give you a real précis of how it felt to be riding the brand new bike.
Okay, 2021 Hayabusa. What's the clocks? Oh, that's sweet. Right, well the heated grips have been on. That's very nice. Right then, let's clutch in, we're in neutral. God, my hips, I can feel it in my hips already. Let's stretch out a bit. The riding position is very much like my old K5. It's just doesn't feel any different. I mean, people going about it being sporty, but they seem to forget underneath this bulbous bodybuilder bodywork, it's a GSXR. It's a sports bike. Yeah. Well, first impressions, it feels really steady. It feels stable, feels comfortable. Suspension feels nice and tight. Yeah, lovely. Brake lever's got quite a bit of travel on it, but I can probably adjust that on the span. I think this has got the one that you can adjust the pressure as well, so I'll have to wait and see. That gear lever, you can tell it's got a quick shifter. Got a bit of a spongy, sort of soft feel to it, but it's a good position for the feet. Now this is the first one that's got fly-by-wire. You can adjust even the engine braking using them electronic. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Mirrors are quite good for what they are. They've got that sort of drop-down thing. Almost look a bit squared off, but they're a funny shape, but the shape seems to work. So at the moment I'm currently running in sort of number 1 power mode, which is full power mode, and number 2 on engine braking. Traction control's at 5, so it should be neither intrusive nor off. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Okay, so the new bike is just an evolution of all those years of development, and it's got this sort of muscular stature, and it's still got that. It's still quite a handsome brute, apart from, I mean, the back end. I don't like the back end, but from the front it looks stunning. So what do I like about it? Well, what I like about it is the fact that they've turned it into a lazy GSXR. If you don't want to go around tearing up the countryside and scaring ladies in their mini metros, gosh, show me age, isn't it, mini metros? Yeah, if you don't want to go around scaring the public, you can do that on this new bike. But as happened on a fast bikes video all those years ago, you got a bloke on a Blackbird 170 odd mile an hour on a French motorway, and you get some guy on a Hayabusa absolutely blow him into the gutter as he comes steaming past in the outside lane. And that's where the Hayabusa lives. It lives in this mysterious world of iconic motorcycles, even though it's still alive. So the new Hayabusa on paper is really similar. And I think that's one of the things that people are struggling with. Why have they kept the bike so similar and made what people are claiming are such little changes? Well, they're not little changes. What you've got, I think, in this new bike is effectively the culmination of 20 years of development, fine tweaking. It's more of it is an evolution, not a revolution. Is the bike super fast? Well, yeah, of course it is. All Hayabusas are super fast. Is this new bike fast? Well, I reckon if you were to drag race them and you're working at full revs and max power, that sort of scenario, there's not going to be a lot in it. But what they've done is they've turned the Hayabusa from a drag bike, straight line sort of kill everything bike, they've turned it into a bloody nice road bike. They've given it so much mid-range. The technology's helped, clearly. The fly-by-wire throttle is a clear bonus. And I'm not always a fan of fly-by-wire throttles, but the old Hayabusa, having ridden the 2008 one yesterday, as well as the new one, the throttle's heavier, the clutch is heavier. Gearbox is just the same, feels really nice. I can't see much difference. Apart from the quick shifter up and down the new bike, there's not a lot of difference between the way the gearbox worked. The handling was very, very similar, although the older bike was a lot more taut. It was very sort of, the old bike felt like it wanted to go for a tear up. It got attitude. The new bike probably has got as much oomph in it, and it still felt like a GSXR, but it felt like a lazy GSXR. It felt like a GSXR got nothing to prove. It doesn't have to make you feel like you're on a racetrack. It doesn't have to make you feel like you're on a drag strip or you're at Santa Pod about to stick down a 10-second run. What it basically does, it makes you feel like you've got nothing to prove. It's just so competent. The handling is superb. Yeah, it's not tight, taut, razor-like GSXR 750 on a track day. Super quick steering. It's planted, it's comfortable, you could ride it at absolute ballistic speeds in complete safety, and it makes you feel really comfortable. The riding position, well, the riding position is pretty much the same, to be honest. The cockpits look the handlebars, different yokes, but the position is pretty much the same. The clock's still got the nice two big dials on them. And all they've done is they've kept the same layout almost, but what they've done is they've put the two, the little info thing, the TFT information screen in the middle, which is a nice touch. I like dials. There is something to be said for that needing up the speed, rather than having this digital thing sort of flicking away in front of you and not moving. It's nice, it makes the bike feel like it's alive. Having said that, the new Hayabusa, the Gen 3 Hayabusa, is a gentle rocket. My friend's bike is a 2008 version. It's a pre-Brembo caliper version. And having said that, the brakes on the new bike are fabulous. The brakes on my mate's 2008, they work, and they were very, very good, but you didn't have to pull on the levers. And to make it worse, poor Ollie, I did take the piss out of him. Ollie's got these, whoever fitted them, I don't know whether Ollie fitted them or the guy who bought the bike from, got these little sort of stubby levers on, and I absolutely hate these wazzy stubby lever things. The ASV lever, they're lovely to look at, but it's just ridiculous. I ended up using one finger on the clutch because my other fingers didn't fit on the levers with my gloves on. The quick shifter, the blippy shifter up and down on the new Hayabusa, fantastic, silky smooth, no complaints there. And that's the thing, though, you cannot complain about the new bike. Yeah, if you want to go willy waving and complain, it's got the same horsepower. Should they have put the supercharger on that everybody's ranting about? Should they have turbocharged it? Should they have made it at 1500cc? No, of course they shouldn't. The Hayabusa is what it is. It's an icon of the motorcycle world. The new bike is an evolution. It's the grown-up version. It's the one that's been to university and come out and it's now a bit clever. Now these modern bikes are just super fast now, and I think you need more than that in today's motorcycle world. Everything's fast, so to stand out it's got to be special. And the new Hayabusa, it looks beautiful. I think it does anyway. Apart from the rear cowl, the rear seat thing looks a bit like a scooter, but from the front it's a stunning bike to look at. That's part of the enjoyment of owning a Hayabusa. I mean, we stopped at the garage at the end of the test to fill both bikes up, and this young lad got out of his car and he went, "You've got two Hayabusas together. You don't hardly see one Hayabusa." And I'm thinking, well, Suzuki must have sold thousands of these things, but they're rare, and they're rare because people are hanging on to them. They don't ride them. I mean, in the shop they tell us about a guy who's got one that's done 6,000 miles on an 05 plate. You're thinking, really? 6,000 miles? Where have you been with it? I mean, it must just sit in his garage. But then people love Hayabusas. The Hayabusa crowd love them. The ones, if you don't like them, then that's fine. You know, if you're not into that look, they're fine. But what you've basically got is a GSXR that's got a big set of clothes on.
Yeah, I'm not doing some funny dance. Not doing the Hayabusa shuffle. Yeah. Right. Let's get back to the shop and swap over, because I want to ride the Gen 2. Yeah, the back of this new version, Hayabusa 0.3. Again, it's a Marmite thing. It's a love it or loathe it. I'm not a fan, but having just followed Lado there on his Gen 2 for some time, I think the back end of that, certainly with the single-sided pipe on it, looks gorgeous. So yeah, it's horses for courses, isn't it? I'm absolutely dying to see what that other bike, what the Gen 2 is like. So we're going to get back to the shop now and swap over. Ollie's going to ride this one, and we'll be back in a minute. Well, first things first, don't like these knobby levers. It's got a bit of tuck on the old steering as well. Where are you going? It's got a bit of tuck on the old steering. The pegs are a bit higher. But yeah. Oh. Quite a stretch with the old bars. The hips must be feeling it. Through town, this small lever and the heavier clutch coming out of town was a bit of hard work. You know, within sort of 5-10 minutes I was getting a bit fed up with that. But you know, these aren't town bikes, let's face it. You're not anyone's going to commute on one of these as you know, going to have to put up with any discomfort, because they're not designed for commuting. This Gen 2 feels definitely more flickable, although it's probably not. The new bike, the Gen 3, is flickable, but you could feel the weight because you had a comfy sort of lazier suspension. This bike feels more, it feels taut, it feels more sort of with it, if you know what I mean, sports wise. Well, at the end of the day, both bikes are GSXR 1300s, effectively, and that bike has had some fluff thrown at it and some gadgets thrown at it, but essentially under the skin they're pretty much the same thing. That's got some nice mid-range, and I've already noticed sort of from 3000 RPM the new bike pulls better. But then again, it's, you know, you're talking about 12 years further on, 12 years of technology that Suzuki have gleaned. But as you can see, there's not that much lacking really. I mean, that was, you know, a 4th gear squeeze, just lovely, no faffing at all. Oh, steady on, Mr. Van, you coming in or out? No, we're staying there. So on the whole, we're just about to get into some nice little countryside, so once we've had a bit of a ride through the nice bits, I'll get back to you. What do you think? Eh? You think it's growing on you?
Those tyres. Because now I'm riding this, that's how that used to feel. I think everything is a little bit harder on that, but
that feels like it's been set up for a track day compared to that.
Yeah, massively.
One thing I did notice, I don't like them levers, the small levers.
Oh yeah.
The Wazzy. I've had to be. I'm using that finger for the clutch. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I need more fingers. Suspension on the new bike, I think, is far superior to the suspension on that bike.
Yeah.
But that bike makes you want to rag it. That bike says, "Yeah, I can do that."
Yeah.
It's like that.
And that's going, go on.
Yeah. I think we've got a. Well, what else did we have? I mean, if you look at in the car world, I suppose. Well, there is no comparison, really, is there? Because there's nothing that fast. But yeah, those tyres don't look that worn, mate.
But you can see it.
Now the front's well feathered. You've got quite a bit of feather in there, look, on the front. Because when you tip it into a corner, it was like one of the push and tuck, wasn't rolling in. Whereas I reckon those tyres on this bike and this would do that lovely rolling in thing. No, I think that's a beast, isn't it? That is an absolute beast. It's lovely. It's very similar, isn't it?
Almost identical, yeah, not far off as well.
Yeah, it's very similar.
As soon as I got on it,
yeah, yeah. The tank's a bit narrower on that, I think. That spreads your legs a bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, the frames look very similar. In fact, I don't know how much difference there is in the frame. They look almost the same. But what you haven't got on your bike is this. And I'm guessing that they've put lots of electricity under here. I mean, you notice when I was following you on your bike earlier, how narrow that looks, how slender that looks. And but from behind you can see how, even though it's a massive exhaust pipe, it's chopped in. So when the bike's on its side, they're not near the floor. You'd think, oh, they're going to drag on them, but they don't. Yeah, and like you said, the handlebar thing is pretty similar, isn't it? The shape and everything. I mean, the yokes are different, but they've still got that Hayabusa feel. The clocks, the two clocks, and the bit in the middle, and the little bits on the outside. They've kept that Hayabusa. Yeah,
the analog sort of touch, everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Complete TFT, but I still quite like that.
Do you know what? I think I agree with you. I prefer normal clocks, and the info can be digital. Yeah. But I don't need a speed in like 4-inch high letters flashing at me all the time. I prefer a needle to some blocky sort of spreading. I prefer a needle, definitely. And it's more, when you rev it and the needle does that, it's just like, oh. You know, when you go boom, and a needle, you get that, it's a feel, isn't it? Rather than have some PlayStation symbols sort of just get bigger. You know? Yeah. But, oh, spot on, mate.
Well, so in summary, these two bikes are so similar and yet so different. It's so difficult to choose between the two. You've basically got, like I said, the evolution of the new one with all the technology that they've put into it, but it really has kept its Hayabusa DNA. The young lad at a garage that I mentioned, he knew it was a Hayabusa. He knew they were both Hayabusas. He couldn't tell the difference between the two. Didn't know one was a brand new one was an old one. He just knew it was a Hayabusa because it looked the same. The new bike has kept that Hayabusa look. And I think that's to Suzuki's credit. If they changed it, they'd made the style radically different, it would have lost the myth. It would have lost the sort of the Hayabusa thing. It would have lost the legend. I mean, the thing is a living legend already. You know what? In years to come, people will mention the Hayabusa, and you know exactly what someone's talking about. Just like people know about, you know, all the classic British, Italian, German bikes. You just got to mention the name, and they know what it is. And I think again, that's what the Hayabusa is all about. Yeah, it's fast, it's brilliant, it handles well, it does everything on the tin. It's the sort of bike that you get on and ride, and other riders look at you and think, yep, I know what that is. It's got a respect. It's got the Hayabusa's got a kudos that other bikes can only dream of. The reason it was born in the first place was because of Honda's Blackbird, and I think to a certain extent this new bike has been blackbirded. The Blackbird back in the day was sort of the grown-up version of the 170 horsepower, 200 miles an hour bike. It was the grown-up one. It was a sensible one, very efficient, did what it says on the tin, but didn't growl at people like the Hayabusa does. And the Hayabusa still growls at people. I think this new Hayabusa is growling at people, but in a more sophisticated way. The technology's helped it. You haven't got to rev it anymore. You don't need that raucous sort of bish bash bosh SWAT team attack thing anymore. It's I think that's about it. In the short term, there's no trading being done. This new bike will not be being sold and a new Hayabusa being bought just yet. Might happen in the future, but as it stands at the moment, there is still so much life, so much energy, there's so much riding to be done out of the Gen 1s and the Gen 2s. If you've still got one, hang on to it. If you want the Hayabusa experience and you're prepared to pay the price tag and you like the technology, which is more important, yeah, buy the new one. It's a brilliant bike. If that's the sort of thing you're into, a smooth, super creamy, fast, very, very capable intercontinent cruiser, or fast A-road blaster, then yeah, the Hayabusa is your thing. Whether it's 20 years old or 2 days old, the Hayabusa still got it. I'll be out. Thank you. Come on. Funny you should say that, because it looks physically much bigger than that, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's a nice looking bike, isn't it?